If you think calling her beautiful is enough to make her want you, you're playing the wrong game. It's not that women don't like compliments, it's that most men use them wrong. What she really wants is a man who speaks to her core, not her surface. Say this instead, and everything changes. Telling her she's beautiful isn't wrong, it's just overused, empty, and forgettable. Every man says it, and that's the problem. When you say what every other man says, you become exactly what every other man is, background noise. She doesn't remember the compliment, she doesn't feel seen, and worst of all, it signals that you're focusing on her looks because you have nothing deeper to offer. You think you're being sweet, but what she hears is safe, predictable, and disconnected from depth. What actually turns her on, emotionally and physically, is specificity. She wants to feel that you're not reacting to her surface, but responding to who she is beneath it. Compliments should never sound like they came from a meme. They should land like a lightning strike. You don't say, "You're beautiful." You say, "The way you pause when you're thinking, that moment when you're half smiling like you're hiding something, that's the most magnetic thing I've seen all day." You say, "You don't just look good, you carry energy that makes everyone else fade out." That kind of language hits different because now she feels noticed, not just looked at. Psychologically, this activates the reward centers of the brain tied to emotional bonding and arousal. When you reflect back something unique and truthful about her, she feels desired for her essence, and this emotional resonance can escalate attraction much faster than physical compliments alone. The science is clear. Emotional novelty increases dopamine, which heightens pleasure, risk-taking, and even romantic obsession. So when your words bypass the obvious and touch the invisible, her compliments, her voice, her presence, you're no longer complimenting, you're creating craving. This isn't game. This is psychological precision. This is being the one man who sees what no one else does. And when a woman feels deeply seen, she opens, mentally, emotionally, and yes, even physically. Not because you begged for it, but because you earned it by choosing depth over default. Most men think attraction is visual, and for them it often is. But for women, it's emotional first, psychological second, and only then physical. That means the quickest path to her body isn't through a compliment about her curves, it's through a connection to her inner world. When a woman feels emotionally seen, she lowers her defenses. Not because you impressed her, but because she senses something deeper. You get her. And in a world full of men who only notice skin, the man who recognizes her soul instantly becomes unforgettable. When you compliment a woman on her looks, you might get a polite smile, but when you reflect her energy, her intensity, her vulnerability, her fire, you tap into a desire that lives beyond attraction. You activate her need to be understood, and that's not a weakness, it's biological truth. Neuroscience tells us that the female brain is wired to assess emotional intelligence in a partner. She's not just asking, "Is he hot?" She's asking, "Can he feel me?" If the answer is yes, her body responds in ways most men will never experience because they never earned that access. So instead of saying, "You look amazing," say, "There's something wild and focused about you, like you're chasing something bigger than this moment, but still owning the room." That's not poetry. That's power. Because now you're showing her you're not seduced by surface, you're tuned into essence. And women are drawn to men who pay attention, not men who just react. This doesn't mean you can't appreciate her appearance, but it means her beauty should be the starting point, not the finish line. The real seduction happens when she feels like you're paying attention to her emotional rhythm, how she moves, when she pauses, what lights her up, what makes her hesitate. That's the layer most men miss. That's the layer that builds obsession. Don't talk to her ego, talk to her emotion. That's where the real intimacy begins. When she feels you connect to the feeling behind her face, she stops wondering if you're like everyone else. Because now you've proven you're not. And in her world, that changes everything. The truth most men never hear is this: compliments don't build desire, tension does. Not sexual tension in the way media portrays it, but psychological tension. The kind that happens when a woman doesn't quite know what you'll say next, when she senses that you see more than you're saying, when she feels you're not here to impress, but to observe, to understand, to witness her. That's the tension that makes her pulse change. That's what makes her wonder about you long after the conversation ends. This isn't about being mysterious for the sake of mystery. It's about creating a dynamic where she feels slightly off balance, in the best way. Because now she's leaning in, not just reacting. You're not feeding her praise, you're reflecting her energy with calm confidence. That's what perception does. It tells her you're present enough to notice the details no one else sees and strong enough not to rush to define her. Compliments are statements. Perception is impact. When you say something like, "You move like you're trying not to let anyone see how powerful you are," you don't just get her attention, you pierce the surface, you touch something she may not have even admitted to herself. That's the kind of presence that doesn't just spark interest, it builds craving. And craving is what leads to intimacy. Not the mechanical kind, the magnetic kind. From a neuroscience perspective, this kind of tension activates the brain's anticipation circuits, dopamine pathways that light up when we're drawn to something uncertain and emotionally charged. That's why the most powerful moments aren't the loud ones. They're the pauses between words, the sideways glance, the sentence you start but don't finish. When you know how to hold space and let her feel the weight of the moment, you become unforgettable. This doesn't require you to be clever or scripted. It requires you to see more and say less. It means learning to let silence do the talking. It means becoming the man who's not afraid of tension, but understands it's the doorway to real connection. Praise may flatter her, but perception makes her feel seen. And when she feels seen, everything else becomes possible. There's a razor-thin line between expressing interest and leaking neediness. Most men cross that line without realizing it. They try to say all the right things, but the energy underneath it reveals everything: desperation, attachment, insecurity. And here's what you need to understand. Women don't respond to words. They respond to energy, especially when it comes to attraction. You don't have to tell a woman you want her. If you're centered, grounded, and present, she'll feel it without a single word. When your energy says, "I want you, but I don't need you to feel complete," it's magnetic. It builds curiosity, trust, and sexual charge. But when your energy says, "Please notice me, validate me, complete me," no matter how smooth the delivery, she'll pull back. Because that neediness doesn't feel like desire, it feels like pressure. From a psychological standpoint, women are wired to respond to signals of abundance. When a man is self-contained, emotionally full, and not outcome dependent, it sends a clear message. This man doesn't chase, he chooses. And when she feels like she's being chosen, not pursued, she relaxes into her feminine energy. She stops guarding herself. She starts wanting more. So don't just say attractive things, be an attractive presence. Sit back in your body, speak slower, smile with certainty, hold eye contact a moment longer than usual. Don't rush, don't fidget, don't over-explain. Let your body language communicate what your mouth doesn't need to say. Your calm tells her everything. This is where real power lives, in the tension between your desire and your discipline. You want her, but you're not ruled by that want. You lead it. You own it. you control it. And that's what makes you different from every other man who throws praise hoping to earn intimacy. The moment you stop needing her to respond, she'll start responding more. Not because you played a game, but because you finally stepped into your centered masculine energy. And women don't crave words. They crave the man who can stand still in his own fire and let her feel it. Men try so hard to impress that they forget what actually attracts. It's not the punchlines, not the flexing, not the smooth lines or the over-delivered compliments. It's presence. Pure, grounded, focused presence. The kind that says, I'm here, I'm listening, I see you, I'm not trying to be liked, I'm just being real. That presence is rare, and that's why it's irresistible. You see, women are constantly surrounded by noise. Men who talk over them, impress them, overshare, or overcompensate. But when a man shows up and doesn't try to be anything other than himself, when he listens like he means it, watches with curiosity, and moves with calm confidence, everything changes. Because that kind of presence feels safe. And when a woman feels safe, attraction moves from thought to instinct. Science backs this up. The female nervous system is highly attuned to subtle cues. A man who's genuinely present helps her nervous system downshift out of stress and into open. Her body feels it before her mind even registers it. This is what builds craving. Not performance, but real anchored attention. When you're present, you don't need to say, you're beautiful. She'll feel beautiful in your presence because she feels seen. When you're present, you don't need to fill the space with compliments. Your silence is full of certainty. When you're present, she stops questioning your motives and starts feeling your impact. So stop performing. Stop trying to win her. Start being with her with your full energy, your full breath, your full attention. Because when you show up that way, without seeking, without pleasing, she will respond. And that response isn't forced or fabricated. It's real. Because you created space for her to feel something she rarely feels. Safe and desired at the same time. That's not something she gets every day, and that's why she'll crave it again. The truth is, you never need it to be smoother, richer, or better looking to be the man she remembers. You just need it to stop speaking like everyone else and start seeing what no one else sees. Don't compliment the obvious, pierce through it. Don't chase validation, stand in your presence. Don't seek performance, lead with perception. She doesn't want your praise. She wants your awareness. If this video hits you hard and you're ready to become the kind of man who connects on a deeper level, hit subscribe, like, and turn on notifications. This is not about game, it's about truth. And we're just getting started.